Hello, everyone. Welcome to WP Roundtable. My name is Jason Crawford, coming to you from Medellin, Colombia, and we're running a little bit late because of some technical problems, but we're moving on with life.
The technical problems where we all needed drinks. Let's be honest here.
Who's next?
Oh, hey, I'm Mark, and I needed a drink. And I'm with ServerPress. We make a desktop server, which is really cool for local development. And I'm in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, where it's gone from like 90 degrees to 40 degrees back up to 90 degrees all in one day.
Dude, that's crazy.
It was crazy weather today, yep.
Yeah. My name's Kyle, and I co-founded Real Big Marketing. We're a web agency based in Jackson, Michigan. It was a beautiful, gorgeous day today. I almost didn't even want to come inside for this show, but only because we had such a great guest, I was able to summon up the willpower to come in here for this. It's just so nice outside. But my life is WordPress, and I love making things with WordPress, and I'm talking about a great guest today, Mr. Thomas Griffin, partner at Awesome Motive. Really, developers created such amazing WordPress products that all of us have used countless times, including Envira Gallery, Optin Monster, Soliloquy Slider, and plenty more besides. We're really excited to talk with Thomas today. We've got a lot of questions for him. Thomas, you want to just say a quick hello and anything that I missed that people should know about you?
Sure. Yeah. Well, thank you for the kind welcome. My name is Thomas Griffin, and I'm the partner and CTO at Awesome Motive, where we build really cool stuff like Soliloquy and Envira and Optin Monster and TeamLab and WP Beginner and all those other fun WordPress things. I love WordPress. I live, eat, breathe it 24/7, and I like building cool things with it. I also like golf, so it was a beautiful day today, and yeah. So I wish I could have been playing golf, but you know.
It's so great. They were all able to take a break from this beautiful weather and talk about open source software and our businesses.
That's right. It's a good day.
Yeah. All right. So before we dive into these questions, we have many for you, Thomas. We're going to address our quick picks of the week. Real quick. This is a part of the show where each of us shares something that maybe we learned about in the past week, or that we think is relevant or worth sharing with everyone. I've got two quick links that I already threw onto the Google Plus event for anyone following this particular video there. The first is, everybody should know this who watches the show at all, that I'm like big time into WordPress TV, and I love helping out with that site and that team of volunteers who helps make that site possible and moderate videos and all that cool stuff. We finally got our own community blog. So if you go to make.wordpress.org, there's now a new section that you'll see at the bottom for TV, for the WordPress TV team. Got to check it out. If you want to learn more about the awesome team that makes WordPress TV, go there. And also, as an added bonus, if you go to that site, the latest post you will see on that is my first ever P2 post on a community blog, which is very fun. I got to write up this very extremely overly verbose post addressing a relatively minor issue on the site. It just got a little out of hand, but it was exciting to contribute a post on a community blog for the first time. And the other link worth mentioning is that the fourth year of an amazing conference that I haven't ever been able to go to called Pressnomics, which I hope I can go to maybe next year. They just announced the dates for Pressnomics 4 today, officially. Next year, March 3rd and 4th. So mark your calendars.
Cool. And I have a couple of picks. The one pick that I will be saying every week between now and the 24th of July, which is WordCamp Milwaukee coming up. Best WordCamp you could ever go to. Funnest WordCamp you could ever go to. Better than anything you've ever done in your life. And I just would really encourage people that if you are going to come to WordCamp Milwaukee, that you register before Friday, because Friday we will be putting in the order for the T-shirts, and you'll want to get the T-shirt in the size of your choosing. Secondly is the Prestige Conference, which is coming up the following week after WordCamp Milwaukee. By the way, WordCamp Milwaukee, 24th of July through the 26th. Prestige is August 1st and 2nd, and this is more of a business conference. And rather than having multiple tracks, it's one track all day, and you just sit and you learn things from really great people about things like running a business, marketing a business, all that kind of really cool stuff. And that's the 1st and 2nd in Minneapolis.
Okay, I'll jump in. Talking about those drinks that we were waiting on, I just knocked mine over because a bug was trying to crawl in my computer, and I swatted it and killed my soda, so I'm a little confused. But as far as picks of the week, I am picking the Interaction of Color app for the iPad. And it's a book for the iPad, kind of, sort of. A book in an app form, and it has video, it has interactive activities. So anyways, if you're as colorblind as I am and trying to figure out how to use colors, and I'm picking this as much for the cool use of a cool new way of they're integrating books with other media forms. So that again is the Interaction of Color, and it's yucknet.org/interaction of color.
Sweet.
Cool. Well, I got a couple of the, I guess, picks of the week. The first one being WordCamp Asheville. I think it is the same dates as WordCamp Milwaukee, July the 24th or 25th and 26th. I'm excited to go there. It's in the mountains, beautiful mountains of North Carolina. It's beautiful. I can't wait to go up there, and I'll be talking about what we did with Optin Monster and how we used WordPress as the application and API platform, and kind of some of the issues and things that we experienced with it, and how we took it to be able to scale to tens and hundreds of millions of requests a day. And so I'm really excited about that. I'm really excited to talk about that. It's probably the most developer-centric talk I'll have done up until this point. So I'm excited to kind of get into some of the technical infrastructure details and what that kind of looks like. And then the other one I shared on the public event is Eric Andrew Lewis. I know he wrote this a while back, but just recently made some updates to it. But it's a really awesome GitHub gist and a guide of setting up your own WordPress setup on Amazon Web Services. So it's really good. It's really detailed. It takes you about 30 minutes to get it set up. But I love it. I've gone through and set it up. I probably have 10 or 15 sites running on it now. It's nice. I can go through. I can manage it. You know, it's easy to scale up and scale down. It's easy to add new services, redundant databases, caching, all that stuff. It's super easy to add. And it's a great guide to get started and to get using. So if you're not comfortable with, you know, like having your own server set up or not sure where to start, that's a really, really good guide because you can use their free tier. It doesn't cost you anything. And it's really easy to just delete an instance if you mess something up, get one started again. It gets you familiar with using the Amazon Web Services platform.
Wow. That's pretty powerful. Thanks for sharing, Thomas.
Yeah.
Both of those are really, really awesome. And hope that WordCamp Asheville goes really well. All right. So let's dive into some questions because we and our viewers want to learn more about you, Thomas.
Sure.
And we haven't had an opportunity to meet in person yet, but we've spoken before. And I've followed you and your excellent blog for quite some time. But still don't know a lot about you. So I've got kind of some basic questions that I was hoping we could start with. You know, just maybe start a little bit with your background. Let's go back to the beginning and you know, before you got your career on its path, what is it that you wanted to do? When you were a kid and your early career going to school, what did you want to do with yourself?
Well, as a kid, when I was real little, I wanted to be a weatherman.
A weatherman?
Weatherman, yeah. and got turned from that. And then in middle school, I started my own business on eBay selling Pokemon and Dragon Ball Z cards. I actually did pretty well. So as a middle schooler, over the course of about 3 years, I made around $15,000 just selling
Wow.
cards, and I was really big into the card game too. At one point, I was ranked in the top 10 in the world for the Dragon Ball Z card game, and so I was really big into it. And but I also like to collect and sell the cards too. And so I kind of started that. I did that up until, gosh, probably halfway through high school. Got out of it and decided I wanted to go into accounting. And I got into college. Accounting was all right, but I needed a way to make some money while I was in college. And I was poor, broke, like most other college students. And I just tried to figure out. I typed in like Google how to make extra money on the side, and one of the ways was to do it online, writing articles for what are now known as content mills, but they weren't that back then. And I got into that, started writing those, ended up making my own WordPress website, and decided I liked fiddling with the website more than actually writing. And the rest, they say, is history.
Well, I'm not going to let you end right there because we want to know about the rest for sure. But that's an interesting background, I think. So you discovered you liked making the websites. Where did you take that? Did you begin freelancing, or did you get were you ever employed with an agency or anything like that?
So I originally started, I just got into, I was working with my own website. At the time, I was really big into singing, and I wanted to learn a lot about singing, improving your singing voice and all that stuff about it. So I started a blog that just talked about singing and like different things about just singing in general. And over that period of time, I was playing with free WordPress themes, or really got into SEO a lot, and I learned a lot about SEO during that time too, because I wanted to figure out how to make money with it. I learned a little bit about affiliate marketing, kind of how that worked, and as I got into it, I really liked tweaking and working with the websites. And about that time was the time that Thesis was really becoming popular. So there was the Revolution theme by Brian Gardner, and then there was Thesis, and this was back before Genesis and before Studio Press kind of came into being. Thesis is like the big new thing. Like there's this theme that you could use with options in it. Like what in the world are options? Before then they didn't really exist. And it's supposed to be super SEO friendly. All the big guys are using it, like ProBlogger and Copyblogger. All those guys are touting it as, yeah, this is the way to go. And so, of course, I bought a copy, used it, was learning a lot about SEO, and I got involved in the Thesis forums. And I remember fixing an issue on the site or doing a customization that I wanted to do. Somebody wanted to have the same thing done, and they were willing to pay $50 for it. Sent him a private message, said, yeah, I can do this. It took me like 15 minutes, done, asked me $50, and I thought, all right, like if I could keep doing this, that's like pretty good money. That's like $200 an hour right there. You don't just make that. And so that's how I decided. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna really try to get into this and try to figure out how I can do more of this, to make this into a legitimate job. That's kind of how I got into it.
That's pretty awesome. So just a real simple beginning into kind of a subset of the community with specific needs around the thesis theme.
Yeah.
What were your next steps? Did you get strategic in what you wanted to learn, or researching what people were needing help with, or make a business name for yourself? What was next?
No, for me, the next piece was, I started doing some of these customizations on the side. I knew some people, just people that I knew that needed a website, particularly my dad. My dad wanted a website, and he said, I'll give you $500 if you do one. And he didn't have a website at all, and I said, all right, I'll do it. And I did it over a summer. It took me about 7 weeks. It was the very first one I did. I made so many mistakes. I was literally just trying to figure it out. And you know, I was just trying to figure out, okay, how does this work? How does this work in thesis? Okay, I figured this out, but now I got to figure this out. Really, just a lot of trial and error. And I got it done, and it took me 7 weeks. And I thought, okay, I learned so much in these 7 weeks. What if the next website that I do takes me 5 weeks? And then what if the next one I do maybe takes me like 3.5 weeks? And what if I could get this down to 1 week? And if I could do a $500 website for 1 week, that means I could do 4 of them a month and make $2,000 a month. That would give me $24,000 a year. While it's not a ton of money, that's close to what a starting salary or entry-level salary might be. Because at this time, this was like at the height of the recession. This was like 2009, 2010. So the job market was looking pretty bleak anyway for me, you know, as I'm a rising senior in college and wondering, you know, there's nobody hiring. I'm going to have to compete with people that have 20 years of experience. And so I thought, okay, if I can just figure out how to scale this, then, you know, I think I'll just try to stick with that. And so at the time, Google was doing a big push with their AdSense credit, or AdWords credits. So everybody, and who knows, they could still be doing it, but everybody and their mother got free $100 advertising for Google AdWords. And I got a bunch of those. I got 2 or 3 of them, and I had 2 or 3 email addresses. So I used, you know, 2 or 3 of them for like $300 of free advertising, basically. And that's how I started my business. I did that. I started that and said WordPress services, and I got a few people that I consulted with, and I said I'm going to charge $75 an hour. And I did. I got the first person I did 3 hours of work. It really took me about 8, but I only charged them for 3. Made, you know, $225. And then the next one, I got a website, and I said I'll do it for $750. And the guy said, all right. I did it, and it actually only took me 4 weeks. It was on thesis, and I thought, all right, like this is awesome. Like who makes like $1,000 when you're in college in like the span of like a month? You know?
Yeah.
Like I was ecstatic. And that's really how I got started. That's the only advertising that I did. After that the website, the $750 website I did, I put that website on there, and I put my dad's website on there, and I built a website for myself. And I really just tried to work with SEO, just WordPress services, WordPress development, and that's it. Then it was either word of mouth or people found me from Google. And I continued to do that. This was in 2010, so this was around September, October 2010. At some point, maybe around November or so, I got a bigger client. They worked in New York and did a whole bunch of stuff, and from them, I got every single lead further, you know, that was relevant from that one client. That one client sent me leads from Wendy's, from HBO, from Pantene Pro V, from the Food Network, all of that. That one client that I got that I ended up getting just through Google. They referred me to all these other people, and then I didn't have to do hardly anything after that. I couldn't even keep up with the work that I was getting.
That's incredible.
Wow, that's crazy. So Thomas, I want to rewind a little bit, and let's revisit the singing thing. Sure. So I'm going to give you an option here. Either one, you can sing something for us, or the other option is if you were to take somebody and give them one piece of advice, they wanted to become a singer, and they wanted to improve the way that they sang, what would that one piece of advice be?
Well,
or you can do both. Or you can do both too, if you want.
Or you can sing your answer.
I will spare you the tragedy of me singing. Really, the advice that I would give them is seriously go check out. There's a program called Brett Manning's Singing Success. It is the most incredible singing program that you could ever get. Like it completely transformed how singing and the vocal approach was taken, and it's software that you can buy, and it takes 6 months. Like you have to stick with it for 6 months, but the results are incredible. I mean, it's phenomenal. It teaches you, and it's the oddest exercises. You think, what in the world does this have anything to do with singing? And then one day you wake up and you're like, all right, I'm going to record myself today, and you listen to it, and you sing, and you listen to it, and you think, oh my gosh, like, that actually sounds really good. And it's incredible. Brett Manning's Singing Success is worth every penny that you could spend.
So it sounds like we have a quick pick number 3 here from Thomas.
Yes, there you go. Brett Manning's Singing Success.
All right. Sure.
So Thomas, are you from Charlotte, or do you just live there now?
Yes, I'm one of the rare Charlotte natives. So I was born and raised in Charlotte. My wife and I now live in just a suburb outside of Charlotte called Gastonia. But yeah, born and raised in Charlotte.
I think you're the first person we've had on from North Carolina. I'm from Wilmington originally, so.
Awesome. I love Wilmington.
Well, I love Charlotte.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, Charlotte's a great place. It really is. It's a good city. I've been to a lot of different cities in the U.S., and Charlotte's still my favorite.
So maybe we could catch up to today a little bit, and let's get to the present day. You have a business partner, some products. You sell products. You have services that you offer. You still do consulting to some degree.
So fast forward to today, 5 years later, pretty much is what it is. And now I do about 0 services. I really don't do any services anymore, other than for the sole purpose of bartering for something. Really, that's the only time that I build websites or do things for people, when they have something that I want, and so we can barter. So I'll give you a website if you do landscaping for me. I'll give you a website if you will write a legal contract for me. That's about the only type of service that I do anymore. So or I'll just do it for free for somebody. So I really don't do the paid service anymore, honestly, because I don't have time. Everything else is just so busy, especially with Optin Monster. They're just so busy right now of making sure that projects are on track, that we're keeping up with updates, that we're fresh on what's happening in the industry and what we need to do to better position our products and all that, our new products, and then just the whole thing of managing and running a business, employee performance reviews, retreats, all that type of stuff. It takes up so much of my time. So yeah, that's kind of what my day-to-day looks like.
Wow. So I guess I skipped over it a little bit, but how did we get up to the Automotive stage? How did that come about, and your business as it exists today?
So I started, I was doing client work, kept building the same slider over and over again for clients. I was tired of them contacting me to try to build it, and I was like, why don't I just put a plug-in and then give it to them, and then they can just go in and edit and all that. That's kind of how Soliloquy was birthed. And then as far as Automotive, I actually met Syed at WordCamp Atlanta in 2012. He was there, and it was February 2012. I launched Soliloquy in April 2012, and he actually gave me advice and told me to talk to him when I launched it. And I didn't. I was stupid. I should have, but I didn't. And I went ahead and launched it. We ended up meeting up again later that year in November, working in Raleigh, and he said, "Hey man, I noticed you launched Soliloquy. Seriously, come talk to me. I'd love to help you out, market it, all that, do something together." So I followed up with him in December, the next month, and I had an idea, and he said, well, that idea's all right, but I got a better one. Why don't we try to partner on this? And so that was the start of Optin Monster. Optin Monster, we took time, developed it, released it in September 2013. Immediately it took off, and it quickly surpassed Soliloquy. Within the first 2 months, it was already past what Soliloquy had been doing for almost a year and a half. And so, as that began to take up more time, I did a big update to Soliloquy, and I launched Envira at the same time as that, because I had so many requests for a gallery. And then, we were just working on it together, and I thought, why don't we just, we thought one another, wouldn't it make sense just to bring all this in-house? and we kind of manage it all together. You know, I would get his marketing and networking expertise. I would be able to have that taken off my shoulders, and then I could just continue to focus on development and building really good stuff. And so then July of last year, actually around this time of last year, we made it official, and I just kind of merged things together. And that's when I became partner and CTO of Awesome Motive.
So for all of us out here and everyone who's listening, what exactly is Optin Monster, and why would you say it like exploded overnight the way that it did?
So Optin Monster, well, it allows you to create an A/B test, awesome lead capture forms without a developer. The big thing with it is the exit intent technology that we provide with it. And so it allows you to create pop-up lightbox pop-ups, email opt-in forms of all types, integrates with 25 different email service providers to capture leads that can then add value or bottom line to your business. At the time when we launched it, there was only one other competitor that had exit intent technology, and literally they charged $5,000 to $10,000 a month for this technology. And I thought, this is crazy. This is like 5 lines in JavaScript to do this. So we took it and we said, all right, let's build a really good product. Let's tout this, and let's bring it to a market that can actually afford it. And so that's what we did. So we made Optin Monster. We built that, and we said we had $49.99, $199. At $199, you get this exit intent technology, which was previously completely out of reach. And I really think that was one of the big things that allowed us to just take off. And apart from that, the pop-up industry itself has a really bad reputation. I think it's getting better because people are getting data-backed analysis now that say, okay, like exit intent pop-ups really do convert very well, and they really do add bottom line. But at the time, it's just these typical really spammy industry, and we're not those guys. You know, we wanted to have a very good reputation and build a reputation with businesses and educate and inform them and say, look, these things really do work, and we're not the spammy company that's just trying to make a little money and don't provide support or anything for this product. We really want to stand behind it. So I think those two things coming together really allowed it to take off.
That's amazing. So one of the interesting things about this particular product, about Optin Monster, is how you've changed it, and how you've changed the model around it. And so originally it was a WordPress plugin, and today it is a platform-agnostic SaaS offering, a software as a service. So maybe walk us through what you were thinking that made you decide this is the right move. This is why, and this is the smartest move for this. This is the best for the customers. Walk us through that.
Sure. Well, many people may know that we originally wanted to make Optin Monster a SaaS solution from the start, but we failed miserably. I did not know as much about server architecture as I do now. And we tried it, and we just could not figure out how to scale it. And so we had to pivot quickly. Like, we had spent literally from January until August building this thing, and then it did not work. And I thought, are we going to have to throw away 8 months of work because we can't figure it out? We said no. At the time, we were going to try to figure out how to build it on WordPress. And so we're like, let's just take it. It's already built kind of in the WordPress data format. Let's put it into a plugin. So we did. We took it, and we took that and put it into a plugin. And that was the original Optin Monster plugin. It was very much a minimum viable product. The code in and of itself was, it was not the best or the cleanest thing, but it worked. And that was the important thing. It worked, and it worked well. And so we took that, and we made it into a WordPress plugin. So when it originally launched, that's how we marketed it. It was as a WordPress plugin, which turned out being good for us. It allowed us to build a really good base of users and customers in that. And then but again, originally we wanted to be a SaaS solution. I kid you not, about a third of our support requests were for people asking, can we use this on stuff that is not WordPress? And so many of our refunds were, oh, I bought this and I realized it's on WordPress only. I really want to use it on Magento, or I really want to use it on Drupal, or I want to use it on Shopify, or I have it on my own custom website, or Squarespace, or Wix, or whatever. All of these different platforms. And I thought, like, we're really isolating a big segment of the market because we can't provide our service to them. And so, fortunately, with the WordPress plugin, we were able to figure out a lot of things, figure out a lot of issues, a lot of bugs, take care of a lot of things, really build out our platform to be very stable. And then in October of last year, we decided, okay, we had launched version 2 of Optin Monster. It was a big shift. We had finally cleaned up a lot of the code base. We'd taken care of a lot of that stuff. We had just solidified everything. And that version was very stable. And we said, okay, now's the time. Things are stable. We're able to go in. We can easily add a feature here and there, but now we can shift and focus our efforts. We're a small team. We can focus our efforts on building out this SaaS platform. And so that's what we did. So we took time and we went back to the drawing board, and we ended up partnering with the guys from Pagely. So I'll give a plug to Pagely. They are incredible. They know WordPress inside and out. They're built on the Amazon Web Services cloud, and they have helped us tremendously with scaling, with architecture, with DevOps, and just making sure that everything a part of the SaaS application platform has been smooth. And so we spent a whole bunch of time doing that. We had a beta period of about a month. We tested some really high traffic sites and had some VIP customers, some of our bigger customers, come and use it. And then in May, around the 1st of May, we launched it. And so far, it's been really smooth since then.
That's really cool. And it fascinates me when you describe it. I'm reflecting on why, I think, because I'm sure there's so many products in the WordPress space, and I'm sure a lot of them out there do have those customers coming along and saying, oh, could I use this not on WordPress? Or I bought it and I didn't realize it was just for WordPress. And I'm sure everyone has a certain amount of volume at which point they would start to think about offering it to a broader market. So when you say a third of your requests, that's huge. I wonder, it's probably the case, and I can't think of too many others. Maybe you would think of examples of other products in this space that have done the same and opened it up to a broader market because of so many requests. It's just interesting that that was the case for you. And I wonder, is it just something that just the whole web was in high demand for this particular product? What made sets yours apart?
I think for our particular product, it's this is something that not a lot of people think of when they first start a website. That not a lot of people have a marketing plan when they start a website. Most people that have a real marketing plan either have a team or they know what they're doing, and so because of that, it's typically kind of an add-on thing. So it's an afterthought thing. It's like 6 months after the website. Okay, now the website's built. Now we want to do some marketing stuff. And so because of that, their initial informed decision on what they want to build websites might not be WordPress. It might be something completely different. But whether you're e-commerce or whether you're into real estate or whatever, everybody needs some type of everybody wants leads, right? They want to make sales. They want to add new customers. And so I think that's one of the reasons why there is such a high demand for Optin Monster in particular to be both in and outside of WordPress. But if you think of something like a Gravity Forms or a contact form, that's something that you think of from the very start of your website. That's like one of the first things you think about. And so if you see that there's a solution, Gravity Forms, oh, it's on WordPress, so I'm going to build my website on WordPress because it's really easy to add a contact form that way. A lead capture form, like Optin Monster, is not the case. You don't think of it like that. And so I think that's one of the reasons why things like Gravity Forms do so well in WordPress, because like every website has that initial thought and conversation around that product when you start a website or when you start a blog. But that's not necessarily the case for something like Optin Monster.
Wow. Really, I think that's a pretty powerful reflection, and it makes complete sense. It really does make a lot of sense that that so many others people would be searching for problem WordPress or WordPress events or WordPress forums or WordPress e-commerce or something in those initial stages, but
Yeah, right. You know, like events or forums or whatever, like that's a specific type of website that you're trying to build, and so you're going to try to find a solution tailored around that. But with Optin Monster, that's not necessarily the first question that you're going to ask. It's going to be something that's going to come later. And so by that point, you might have already invested too much time and money into whatever solution you have, and you're not just going to change everything to WordPress to use something. So.
Exactly.
So I got a question for you. You've done a few products now. How do you come up with your product ideas?
Yeah, well, so Soliloquy started out of, I kept building this slider over and over again for clients. They wanted sliders. I was particularly perturbed by the offerings that were out at the time. Really, the only thing that really existed the time I came out with Soliloquy was the Nevo slider by the guy who's the developer now behind the Dunked platform, or the Dunked application, kind of with Orman Clark and the Themezilla team. But at the time, that was really the only thing that was out, and it was completely different than any other type of slider because it allowed you to add images and kind of move them around and all this. And again, you got to remember, this was back in 2011 and all that, when things like options were just starting to come into play. You know, so like this idea of having a highly customizable plugin where you can go in and do all this stuff, that like there really wasn't a big market for it yet. You know, there was things like Gravity Forms, which is really like a novelty because, like, oh my gosh, you can drag and drop fields and stuff. Like, who's able to do things like that? But it wasn't like every plugin out there now kind of has that type of functionality. And so I thought, well, I really want to learn how to build a plugin. Like I built one before, but I want to learn how to build a distributed plugin. But I also have a reason for it. You know, so I can just hand it over to clients, and they can change their own slides, and they can change the link to where the slide needs to go, and they can remove them. Like literally, those are the things that I wanted to figure out how to do, and that's basically what the MVP for Soliloquy was. All it was, you could upload images, you can drag and drop the order, you could add a link to the image, and you could delete an image, and that was about it. But it was wonderful because clients were like, oh my gosh, this is the best thing. I don't, like I can go in, it's easy for me to add an image, and it's easy for me to go in and move them around and change it and link it, and I love it. And I thought, all right, well, if they love it, and I got to talking to some of my friends who were developers at the time, and they were like, well, hey, I want to use that. Like my clients, they need that too. And I said, okay, well, let me see if I can figure out how to build it to distribute. So I took time to do that. It took me probably 5 or 6 months. And then in April 2012 is when I launched it. And I thought, you know what? I hope this does well. I mean, I think people can use it. And it was really slow to get started, to be honest with you. I really didn't know if it was going to make it or not. Like the first month, maybe $600, which is the amount of a website, but I was thinking, this is going to completely change. I don't have to do client websites anymore. Now the reality was I had to do client websites for 1.5 years after I launched it before I was able to move away from it. But that was the initial idea of the product. I'm solving a problem that I got for clients, and it solved it pretty well. And then other people caught on, and they really liked it too. And I focused on performance, and I focused on it being really easy to use, not being cluttered. And so yeah, that's kind of how that idea for a product came about.
Awesome. You see anything in the market right now that other developers, an opening where other developers could take a stab in the market and create their own plugin, or do you think it's all kind of filled right now?
I always think that there's a market for something that's good, that's built well, and that's marketed well. There will always be a market for that, no matter how crowded it might be. There is always a market for a contact form. There is a market for an e-commerce plugin. Even though you may think that that does not exist, I guarantee you it does. As far as markets right now, I think if somebody knocks it out of the park with an incredible security plugin, I mean, I think that there's huge implications for that. I think an awesome security plugin, maybe. And then, I mean, there's so many different types of membership type plugins. I really think that with like online courseware, if someone can really focus on that and do that really, really well, really focus on the memberships with courses, I think there's a huge market for it too. But again, there's always a market for stuff, and I guess the better question is what size market do you want, and how much money do you consider it to be worthwhile? For me now, any product that would make less than $100,000 a year, I'm not going to touch. Just because I don't think it's a big enough market. It has to be at least 6 figures a year in revenue for me to want to go after it. But there are plenty of things, plugins that you could build, make you $40,000, $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 a year, no problem, easy. Again, you just have to build a good product and market it well.
Well, I'm with you on that one. I just built a site using LearnDash, and I went through 3 or 4 membership plugins trying to kind of get one that worked well and made it easy. And that was definitely there's definitely a gap there for a good one. I think it worked well with it.
Yeah.
So, Thomas, these days, now that you're CTO of this company and probably a little bit more in a managerial state, do you do a lot of the coding still, or do you kind of more project manage that and hand it off to others and make sure that it goes the way that it's supposed to go?
I still do coding because I like it. I enjoy it, but it's not. I don't do the majority of it anymore. I really don't. I'm more of just managing and enabling the people that we've hired, who are incredibly capable. You're smarter than me. You know way more than me, and just making sure that I beat it into their heads that it needs to be efficient and it needs to be easy to use. I don't like I don't like the way a developer typically builds stuff, because they build it for other developers, and that's not your market. You've got to build it as a user and as how a user would use your product. And so I really try to focus on that and really try to focus on that aspect of it. As far as I still do a lot of stuff right now with Optin Monster, not as much as I used to. I still do a lot of that, especially on the JavaScript and the API end. I primarily still handle a lot of that stuff, just because that's so new for all of us. Because as far as I know, there's nobody out there that's using WordPress as an application infrastructure like we are, handling that many requests. You've got your typical big websites, right, that handle millions and millions, hundreds of millions of requests, but not as an application and API backend. And so I'm still doing a lot of that, just because that's kind of uncharted waters for all of us. And so I'm trying to learn and figure that out and make sure that that's as optimized as possible and doing the best that it can so it can scale. Because bandwidth and resource cost becomes a real issue, when you're serving hundreds of millions of requests a day.
Right.
And but other than that, mostly it's just our team. They handle the rest of the development for it.
So I'm curious, I've seen this become a bigger thing lately, and you said you wanted to do it from the beginning, but Do you think the software as a service model is something that we're going to see kind of maybe a shift in the industry towards more of in the future, as opposed to maybe like the distributed software model, obviously? Do you think that there's a lot of people moving towards that? And if so, why would that be?
Are you just talking about in the WordPress space or in just in general?
Well, first and foremost with the WordPress space, but in general as well.
In the WordPress space, I think you're going to see more services because WordPress is so popular, right? It powers about 25% of the web. I think you're crazy if you build a service that a website owner could use. I think you're crazy not to have a WordPress type of solution. But I think you're going to continue to see more and more software as a service solutions that have a very strong integration with WordPress, kind of like how Optin Monster has right now. We have a very, very strong integration because we were a WordPress plugin at one point. I think you're going to find that. But yeah, I think there are going to be a lot more software as a service businesses coming into the WordPress industry with just a WordPress connection, and maybe they have a deeper or better connection with WordPress than some other platforms like Drupal or Magento or Joomla.
Awesome. So we wanted to ask you just a few main things because time's running out. We got only down to the last 10 minutes here, and it's going fast. Tell us a little bit about what role the WordPress community plays in your job and your business.
Yeah, I mean, I love the WordPress community. I mean, the WordPress community has been huge, very influential for me to be able to build my business. But also just as a way to learn and all that. I really got into the WordPress community when I released the TGM plugin activation class. That solved a real problem that a lot of people had of including a lot of stuff in functionality and themes that other plugins did a lot better. And so, and I built that because of the slider issue. It was the same thing. I was trying to build a theme to sell, and it needed a slider, but I didn't want to build my own custom slider. I'd rather have a plugin, and the plugin gets updated, and it does the stuff way better than I could have done it. And so that's kind of how it built. And I actually talked about that at WordCamp Atlanta back in 2012. And from there, I really got involved in the WordPress community and trying to give back and contributing to core and just trying to speak at WordCamps and continue to educate people. I wanted to educate people about some of the lesser known aspects of WordPress. Like 2013, I talked a lot about Ajax because Ajax was uncharted, and I thought like this is the greatest thing ever. Why isn't anybody talking about Ajax and how we use it? And so I just the WordPress community as a whole has been awesome. It's been so good to connect with people and to really grow and learn and to be able to give back.
So what are the WordCamps like in North Carolina these days?
WordCamp Raleigh has been going on for a pretty good time. It's a great WordCamp. I love going up there and getting to meet with the people. I hope we have a WordCamp in Charlotte at some point. We've just started up finally this past year a solid WordPress meetup group here. Been averaging anywhere between 25 and 40 people, which I think is pretty good for a group. And so hopefully at Charlotte at some point. They've got a WordCamp Asheville that just started up last year, and I wasn't able to attend last year, but I'm excited about attending this year. And then who knows where the next one will be in North Carolina. Maybe it'll be in Wilmington.
If they do it, I'll try to make it back to the U.S. to see that one. And I know like Asheville as well.
Oh yeah,
that's great. So, go ahead, Jason.
I was going to ask, do you have any coming up that you're speaking at, and then what will you be talking about if you do?
Yes, I will be at WordCamp Asheville later this month, and I'll be talking about just kind of how we use Optin Monster as a SaaS platform and kind of what WordPress looks like behind it. And then I'm trying to be able to go to WordCamp Baltimore in September. I've got a friend that lived here that actually moved up to moved to Baltimore for a job. Really good friend, and I think it'd be a perfect time to go visit him, and then hopefully get to go to meet a new WordPress community up there and maybe even speak.
Hey, Thomas, who in the WordPress community would you say you've gotten a lot of inspiration from and has helped you to, I don't know, get more involved and embrace the community more?
Oh gosh, as far as an inspiration, Mark Jakewith, definitely. He was very big and influential when I got started into learning all the things about WordPress development. He was doing some really cool things with WordPress and just talking about that type of stuff that nobody else was really doing at the time. Even Syed was very, to me, very influential in just learning about the SEO aspect and just the different things in WordPress, how things work, especially at the beginner level. Very influential for me too. I would say definitely those are the two most influential people, that I was able to meet. Otto's awesome, really cool guy. Just guys like Otto and Mark that were really, kind of the big voices of WordPress development back there in 2008, 9, and really to learn from and to grow from. I really learned and grew a lot from those guys. Really encouraged me to get involved and continue to build stuff.
So how about, this is a random question that I probably should ask earlier, but I'm curious, like you're now serving a broader market beyond WordPress with Optin Monster. Candid comments about the other platforms that you have to deal with. What have you got?
Wix sucks. Wix really sucks. Yeah.
That was worth 2 comments right there.
Yeah, it's Wix is terrible. They might have been awesome back when they were Flash, but they don't have their act together with HTML5. Squarespace rocks. Squarespace is really awesome. I hope WordPress learns and takes a lot of stuff from Squarespace and how they work. Squarespace is I really like Squarespace a lot. As far as most other platforms, we built Optin Monster as SaaS, most like everything else. You have a JavaScript snippet that you add to wherever, and it pretty much works everywhere. So really, the only one that we've had issues with is Wix. And
Wow.
Most everything else has been pretty easy to work with. I really like working with Shopify. I like Shopify a lot. I like Squarespace a lot. Weebly isn't even that bad, to be honest with you. But yeah, just Wix.
Well, that's fascinating. That's something that it's something like that.
What is it about Squarespace that you like? And you like the WordPress or the WordPress community to learn from them?
Man, they're custom. If you haven't tried it, it's free. Just go check it out and just start working and building with their customizer and their themes and templates. Just the entire experience is so good. Just from the way the customizer works, to the design, to how things, the previews and everything. They just do a really, really good job at it. Especially for someone just coming in. I mean, they have this logo generator that you come in and you make, and you just put in the side of your title. It makes an awesome logo for you, especially for starting. I'm thinking, this is awesome. This solves so many problems that people have when they're starting their business or getting on the web. Like, oh man, I don't have a logo. I don't have a good logo. Like, they solve that problem, and they actually solve it pretty well. So things like that. But their customizer is great, really is. I think the WordPress theme customizer, or the WordPress customizer in general, is awesome. It's got a good ways to go, but I think it's moving in the right direction.
Cool. Yeah, they're definitely that's rapidly evolving and being heavily iterated on with every release. And we're going to see changes coming for that. But you're not the first that I've heard say that in terms of what you see is what you get, front-end kind of customization experience. Squarespace is a place we can learn a lot from.
Mm-hmm.
So we're getting down to kind of to wrap up time here, Thomas. It's been really awesome. I guess the only final things that we want to know from you are your recommendations for future guests on this show, somebody that we should hit up that would be worth having.
Yeah, gosh. As far as just developers or things like that, Pippin, Pippin Williamson, makes EDD, a whole bunch of other stuff, Pippin's plugins, all that. Pippin's an awesome guy, super smart. Just has such a wide and vast array of knowledge of working with different setups and things with his plugins that he's built. Would be a great guy to check out and talk with. The guys from WP Ninjas, Kyle and James, they're doing awesome stuff over there with Ninja Forms. Be great to talk to. Phil Dirksen. So Phil is a really but Phil Dirksen and John Turner, they're really awesome guys. I really like those guys a lot because they are focused on building sustainable businesses and using like marketing practices and other things to make sure that their business continues to grow. And they're really cool guys. Phil has made the Pennant Pro plugin for WordPress and then Stripe Checkout. And then John Turner is the guy from CProd, who's made Coming Soon Pro, so the big Coming Soon Pro thing. Those couple guys are great.
Awesome. Those are some good recommendations. Thank you. I think those will make some good episodes for sure. So just really the last thing, kind of open-ended, is there anything that you want to share in terms of things that people could take a look at or ways that people could connect with you online or anything that's relevant that people should know about today? Final words.
Sure. You can always find me on Twitter at JThomasGriffin. You can find me on the web at thomasgriffin.io, and that's on blog. And then check out our products. If you don't have them, I encourage you to buy them. Check them out. Every single one of them has a 14-day money-back free trial, no questions asked. So, if you don't like it, then you always get your money back. But, I think you'd be pleasantly surprised and happy with our products, Soliloquy, Envira Gallery, and Optin Monster. And I'd love to help you out. If you buy it, just mention that you checked it out from the show. I'd love to talk with you personally and just make sure that you're taken care of really well. And so I think that's pretty much it.
That's great. Thanks a lot for that, Thomas. We do encourage everybody to check those products out. Most of us here have used at least some of your products and give them a huge stamp of approval. Saved us countless hours of work and satisfied clients, behind us. As a result, so we tip our hat your way. Thank you for your contribution.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having
Definitely.
me.
Yeah.
Thanks for being on, Thomas.
Thanks, Thomas.
Yeah, no problem.